For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined via Skype from New Jersey by the former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik. Bernie is also the author of the book, From Jailer to Jailed. Bernie, we very much appreciate your time tonight on Newsmax Prime. And late this afternoon, a story came out of St. Joseph's, Michigan, shootings at a Berrien County courthouse, where, according to the Berrien County Sheriff, an inmate shot and killed two bailiffs. The shooter himself now dead. A deputy sheriff also shot, but in stable condition. Now, police have not yet confirmed a lot of the details. This does not appear to be associated with the domestic unrest we've seen around the country or in Dallas, but it does underscore the danger of being a law enforcement officer.
JD, I think this there are two things that cops worry about at the most. One is being ambushed. Two is being involved in a physical confrontation with someone, being overpowered, having your firearm removed, and killed with your own firearm. I went to the police academy in 1986, and in 1989, an officer, a New York City police officer, that I was in the academy with was actually shot and killed with his own gun. I've known several others throughout my career. This is the worst thing that can possibly happen. And that's why cops and law enforcement officers, sheriff's officers, federal agents, state police, this is why they are so concerned about physical confrontations. Once somebody grabs your gun and turns it on you, and you're empty-handed, it's an extremely dangerous situation.
And of course, we have moved from confrontational rhetoric to actions taken around the country. I wanted to get your opinion on something that is transpiring in Cleveland, where the new Black Panther Party is adding more fuel to the fire, organizing a protest, as they say, against, quote, police brutality and Donald Trump in Cleveland the week of the Republican National Convention. This group, one of the groups the Dallas shooter liked on Facebook, a national leader of the new Black Panther Party has tried to distance the group from the shooter, saying he wasn't a member. But the new Black Panthers going to Cleveland, can we expect chaos there?
Well, look, I don't know what Donald Trump has to do with the Black Panther Party, and Donald Trump has to do with police brutality, and I'm not sure how they relate one to the other. The bottom line is, if this group is anything like the Black Panthers of the past, there's going to be major problems. Keep in mind, back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army were responsible for dozens of law enforcement officers being assassinated, executed, if you will, in this country. I don't know not much about this group other than their violent rhetoric or their racial rhetoric. But I don't see how Donald Trump, what good going to Cleveland, protesting against Donald Trump has to do with police brutality.
Well, just to give you a taste of this, Bernie, and to let our viewers in on it, I'm going to show some comments from a press conference in Cleveland back on July 5th, before we saw a lot of the violence around the country. And you will hear this leader of the new Black Panther Party saying Mr. Trump ought to feel unwelcome in Cleveland.
We want to shut Mr. Trump down. We don't want him to take the rostrum or take the mic on the 21st at the Quicken Loans Arena. And Malik Zulu Shabazz is here to tell Donald Trump that he has met his match.
So that was the challenge from Malik Zulu Shabazz in Cleveland, kind of previewing what we saw elsewhere in the country.
Well, listen, this is a political campaign. Mr. Shabazz doesn't appear to be running for president, and he doesn't have access or shouldn't have access to the mic in the first place. I think this is just more theater, if you will. It's pretty disgusting. I mean, you call it what it is, it's disgusting.
And you know what it is, Bernie? There's also a blurring of the lines where people come out and they say, oh, no, we're involved in peaceful protest. For example, Take a look at footage from Fort Lauderdale, Florida over the weekend. It was a Black Lives Matter protest, just one of many that were set up over the weekend. And as these have gone on, and as some members of our government have, quote, encouraged peaceful protest, there is a very thin line between peaceful protest and then a riot taking place. But I want you to hear one of the protesters in Fort Lauderdale again saying, hey, we're not the organization that was affiliated with the Dallas shooter. Here's that protester.
He does not represent what Black Lives Matter movement stands for. Pretty much we are about peace and we are about change, and I do feel terrible for the families of those police officers that were killed, and I don't promote that in any way, shape, or form.
Well, you may not promote it, but there you are at the protest, and we saw what happened the other night in Dallas, Bernie.
Well, listen, you have to go back to some of the other Black Lives Matter protests that were supposed to be peaceful, and they were calling for the murders and executions of police officers. So I don't know who's running the show in Black Lives Matter and what their mission really is, but these peaceful protests have turned into violent protests and other things, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen.
And speaking of what transpired in Dallas, today the police chief, David Brown, at a press conference, told reporters that immediately following the shootings of the officers there, he and his family started receiving death threats. Let's look and listen.
Yes, me and my family received death threats almost immediately after the shootings. We're, as a policing family here in Dallas and across the country, there is a heightened sense of awareness around threats we've received all over the country. So we're all on edge. We're all on edge, and we're being very careful.
And you know, the interesting thing was, Bernie, he had a message for some of the protesters, quote, "We're hiring." In other words, saying, you want social change? Join us. What did you think of the message he offered today at the press conference to the protesters?
Listen, I have to tell you, David Brown, Chief Brown has done a tremendous job thus far. He's been under an enormous amount of pressure. I think he's doing a phenomenal job every step of the way here, and I have nothing but respect for this guy.
And we have nothing but respect for you, Bernie Kerik, the challenges you have faced, the insights you bring. The book Bernie authored again is entitled From Jailer to Jailed. And Bernie, bringing your experience to bear and sharing your thoughts with us tonight, we are very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Thanks, JD.
Now let's go to the phones at 1-877-Newsmax. First up from Charlotte, North Carolina, here's Angela. Angela, you got 30 seconds.
Thanks for taking my call. And Bernie's statements was basically, for me, he was saying, don't fight us, don't beat us, join us.
That's right. That's what the Dallas chief was saying.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that was racist or, down in the comments. Don't beat us, join us. And it's basically the policies that's in the Senate and as far as the establishment, it makes it difficult for law enforcement, FBI, anybody else to do their job. All
right, Angela, I appreciate your take tonight from Charlotte. More of your calls coming up at 1-877-Newsmax. And when we come back, Newt Gingrich on protesters, police, and of course, politics. And more of your calls as we continue on this Monday night here on Newsmax Prime.